Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Happy Father's Day. Happy June. Happy, it's a beautiful day here in Delaware. I hope that wherever you are, it is beautiful as well. I am grateful. I am blessed. I am moisturized. I'm feeling good. And again, I hope the same is true for you. My name is Coach Yolanda. I'm an international spiritual life coach, as well as a Reiki master, as well as a certified birth doula, as well as one of the happiest beings on the planet. I am grateful to be here one more time for Mama Meditations, where we meet every Sunday at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. This particular year, the year 2024, we have decided to focus on our personal power, which is why this series is entitled Power 24. We took a little break in between May and the beginning of June. We came back last week, and now we are pushing forward so that we can continue to stand in our power and envision a different reality for ourselves and for the collective consciousness. I trust that those of you who have been following along recognize and realize that this is not just about personal power, this is about collective power. And how do we use our collective power for the highest good of most of us? We recognize and realize that not everyone is going to see things the way that we see them. Not everyone is going to utilize their power in the same way. But if we can come together and maybe bring some other people along and say, hey, what can we do to support ourselves and to support one another? I think that we would be better off in this temporary human experience that we are all been called into. I bring you greetings as a spiritual being, recognizing my full power as this human experience unfolds. I have a wonderful, I would call her a mentor who described the way that she lives her life to me in a way, and the imagery of it is so beautiful. She's like, I live my life from the position of a spiritual being, and I am in the clouds. I am in a higher vibration. I am in the ether. And the only thing that keeps me from floating away is my connection to the earth as a human, as having a human experience. And so she's like, I would literally float away if I didn't recognize and acknowledge that I am having a human experience. She said, and that is the only thing that keeps me grounded and tethered to this reality. She said, but I live my life from a position of knowing, acknowledging, and recognizing that I am a spiritual being. And there is something so beautiful about recognizing your own personal power as it relates to your human experience, that this literally is a temporary experience. We're here for however long we're here. We're going to experience some things that all humans experience, although we all experience them in different ways. We will all love, hopefully, in our lifetime, have heartbreak in our lifetime, experience disappointment, experience the things that humans experience. Sometimes we forget because things feel so personal for us. Sometimes we forget that millions, billions of others are also having a like experience. They may not be experiencing it in the way that you are, but that experience is not solely your own. And we can feel alone as we're having these different things, experiences happen in our life. We can feel like nobody else is going through this, no one else will understand. And to some extent, that may be true because no one will understand what it feels like, what it sounds like, tastes like for you. You alone will understand what is relative to your own human experience, but it does not mean that others cannot relate or that it doesn't resonate with others. And I think if more of us were more willing to talk about our human experiences, we would recognize, number one, that we're not alone, and number two, that if someone that I don't know has had a similar experience and they were able to transform that into something greater for themselves, absolutely that is possible for me. And I hope that message comes across in everything that we do in this space, that transformation is not just for a select handful of people, that a happy, balanced life is not just for a select amount of people, that all beings have the ability to experience that even in the midst of challenging experiences. We often talk about the people that we admire the most because they have gone through challenges and somehow retained somewhat of their sanity, retained so much of their peace, retained so much of their joy. And that is not something that other spiritual beings are unable to do. And so I hope that through this year, we start to develop a more open minded approach to our human experiences, whether it is heartbreak, loss, grief. Those are things that we all experience on some level and in some way. And so I'm grateful that we were able to return last week. I'm grateful to be here today, albeit still not feeling quite 100% myself, but I got my mind right. And if my mind is right, then other things will follow. And so I want to make sure that as we move forward, that we understand something that we brought up, that I brought up last week about having more structure, structuring our lives, because and balance. I added balance because sometimes we hear structure and we think, oh gosh, that sounds like rules, regulations, laws, and things that may make me feel uncomfortable. Because I am a spiritual being, because we are spiritual beings, we absolutely need fluidity. We need things to be able to flow as they are. We need to be able to be flexible in our thinking, in our being, in our behavior. We absolutely need that. Having a human experience requires structure. Us human beings, we can be some crafty things when left to our own devices. So having structure isn't necessarily a bad thing or something that's going to restrict your life. There has to be balance. In all things, we want to experience balance. And so today we're going to talk more about the structure and the balance that is required for all of us. Hopefully, you will start to build some more structure in your life. There are things that I needed to do. Remember, we did the exercise asking ourselves, what is it that I need now? I asked myself the question in my journal, like, why do you keep, creating these energetic patterns that disrupt the things that you know you are and know you would like to do? And so for many of us, we might be creating energetic patterns that are absolutely separating us from the joy that we seek, the peace that we seek, the abundance that we seek, the love that we seek, whatever it is for you. You might be creating or holding on to or feeding an energetic pattern that continues to separate you from the things you desire. And so for me, I realize I need more structure in my life, which also means more stability and also more foundational spiritual insight. Now, that is what I need. You will have to come up with an idea of what it is that you need to support yourself so that you're not continuously falling into old patterns, old habits, old behaviors that separate you from the life that you desire. If there is something that you know you absolutely want to increase or create in your life, whether it is something tangible or an experience. So if you are saying, I want more love in my life, I want more joy, I want more peace of mind. Oh my goodness, we could all use more peace of mind. If these are things that you feel like there is not enough of, or that it is not present at all in your life, then you also have to ask the question, why? Why are they not present? If there's something that I desire, I have to believe that it desires me as well. Because why would I want it? Why would I want it so bad if it didn't want to be here, where I am going to take care of it, right? Where I am going to appreciate it, love it. I feel that way about money. I love being able to say that things are financially taken care of and I don't have to worry about it. However, there are some energetic patterns that I create that make that difficult. It makes it challenging for me to relax financially because I'm creating patterns based upon old habits, things that I learned from, my parents and others. And so that is something that I have to continuously work at. But I have to ask myself, what are you doing? What is present? What is feeding that? What is at the root of all of that? Lack of structure, lack of stability, and lack of using the insight that I already have. So, if that is true for you, then now you see why this particular offering has to have more structure. I love waiting until the last minute to see what's going to come, what's going to flow, what's going to pop up. And again, the spiritual being that I am, I love operating that way. But I have to acknowledge that I'm also a human operating with other humans who also require knowing what is coming next. I don't know about y'all, but I love guides. I like to know if I'm watching a TV and I want to see what's coming on a particular channel. I love being able to go to the guide and say, okay, at 8 o'clock this is going to happen. At 9 o'clock this is going to happen. I love having a calendar so that I know what is going to happen within the particular month. That is part of the human experience that says structure is good. It allows us to make choices and decisions based upon the information that we have about what is supposed to occur in the future. We love to live in the future. Some of us love to live in the past as well, but we love to live in the future because we would like to know, how can I plan my life? How can I plan my day? I recognize that, which is why this space needed more structure. And so we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm also watching my clock because I realize that I always said I wanted to do this for an hour. Sometimes it's 2 hours. One time, I think we might have almost gone 3 hours because I wasn't paying attention. And I want to be respectful of everyone's time. It's Sunday. You know what I mean? I don't want to take up any more time than I need to. And so I got my clock set. I got a clock over there. I know where I'm at. I'm, dissecting the meditation. Not that there still won't be spontaneous moments, but again, a little bit more structure is going to go a long way for all of us. For those of you who are just tuning in, let me know where you're from. Where are you watching? If you are watching the replay, I hope that you would also still comment. It's taken me some time to respond to some of the comments as I continue to create more structure in my life. I did away with my Facebook. I'm so glad that I did. I don't miss it. I realized that it was a distraction. It was taking time away from other things that I would like to do. And so let me know where you're watching. Let me know how you're feeling. How was your past week? Um, I have to say, my past week, I don't really remember a lot of it. I can tell you that one moment that brought me so much joy was on Friday at the Child Care Center. We hosted a breakfast for dads, and the attendance exceeded our expectations, and to see all of the dads with their babies, but to see the babies light up with their daddies was also a very proud moment. And I have to acknowledge that there was one mom who said to me, it made me kind of sad to see all the dads because my kids may not experience that. And I said to her, I'm so glad that you expressed that, because that's something that we have to be mindful of for next year as we are planning. That not every child, not every co-parent is going to have that experience of having their co-parent with them and what that can create. So I want to be mindful to those experiences as well. So next year we may have to figure how to include everyone in ways where we are supporting everyone. So that was good to see all of the daddies come out on Friday. Hey, Miss Celeste from North Cackalack, how are you? listening in intent with while driving. Ah, I listen, I'm still on that bus with you. I might be out my seat and walking towards the driver, but I'm still on that structure struggle bus. I don't always do well with structure. Similar to my friend, I kind of like to live in the clouds and let things be spontaneous and let's see what's going to happen. But I recognize, particularly as I get older, why structure is important because I'll forget something in a minute. I will forget things in a heartbeat, get ready to lay down and go to bed. And like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this. I forgot to do that. And so having a notebook, not just for journaling, but for writing down all of the tasks that I would like to complete is helping me create more structure. Putting things on my calendar with an alarm is also helping me have more structure. But here is the other thing that I have learned in this past week. Eliminating things is creating structure. Me stepping away from parts of social media creates more structure for me. Me making sure that I, stop eating particular things is creating more structure for me. When I'm feeling better, I'm more focused. So, structure isn't just building things in, it's also knowing what you have to cut out. If things are not serving you, you have to ask yourself, why am I still engaged or interacting with this person, with this place, with this thing? It is not serving me and creating the life that I desire, the peace that I desire, the joy that I desire, the happiness I desire, the love that I desire, the balance that I desire. And so structure is a part of balance, but we got to keep some fluidity and spontaneity in there as well. And trust me, life is going to give you those spontaneous moments. It's not even like you got to ask for them, because if you're asking for them, they're not really spontaneous. Um, and so, what I hope to do from this point moving forward is for all of us to continue to ask ourselves the question: am I structuring my life in such a way that what I desire has no choice but to flow freely? And you see where the balance is in that? If I structure my life, the things that I desire can flow freely, internally and externally. So if I'm creating structures in my internal self, then the things that I desire have but no choice to just come on back home where they belong. If I structure my external life in such a particular place, I'm eliminating distractions. I'm eliminating time wasting. I'm eliminating all of the things that create those energetic patterns that separate me from who and what I desire to be. Structure is a good thing because that will allow things to flow. Think of it in terms of a fire hydrant. And for those of y'all who had the experience of the fire hydrant being on in the summertime, I did not grow up in the city, but in some of my visits to family members in the city, I was always like, the fire hydrant is just running all over the place and y'all are wasting water. And, that would never fly in the suburbs. But here's the thing: the smart engineers in the neighborhood knew if you got a can or you got something else that would allow that water to flow exactly where you wanted it to flow, then the thing that you wanted to happen would happen. Instead of having the water just flow all over the place and all over the street, there was always someone who was going to be the person that was responsible for making sure that the water got to where it needed to go. So if there were a group of kids or a group of people across the street and they wanted some of that water, someone had to take some structure, put it in that water so that it flowed where it needed to flow. Same is true for your life. When you structure your life in a particular way, the things that you desire will flow to you. You won't be out here fighting for things and feeling as though, oh, I got to fight for attention. I got to fight for love. I got to fight for respect. I got to fight for honor. Not if you structure your life in a particular way so that those things flow freely to you. You want to have more respect in your life, then you better put some structure with some healthy boundaries so that people know exactly how you operate. One of the things that I recognized that I needed to do in terms of the boundaries was letting people know when I need my own time. Please give me a moment so that I can engage with you properly. I can't answer that right now. Give me some time. And we're not asking, I wasn't asking for anything large. It's like, give me 10 minutes, give me 15 minutes. When my children were younger, and I would pull in the driveway after coming for work, they understood, don't come out to this car to ask me 20 million questions or to tell me 20 million things. It's like I would sit in my car for however long I needed to sit so that I can then go into the house and do what I needed to do for my family. And so that was a boundary that my kids learned. If mommy is sitting in the driveway in her car, let her sit there. And it used to drive me crazy if that door opened and they'd be peeking out the door like, well, when's she getting out the car? No, we now understand that the structure of mommy's life requires her to sit in silence for a couple of minutes, maybe even 30, before she comes into the house. So ask yourself, do I have these types of structures called healthy boundaries in place so that the things that I desire just flow to me naturally? And it got to the point that even to this day, sometimes I will come home, sit in the car, the ring camera goes off so my family knows that I'm outside, but they don't come outside. They don't text me. They don't bother me. They wait until I come in. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that they have honored that healthy boundary that I set for myself. And it may take some time, for people who don't really know you well. But if you maintain that healthy boundary, if you maintain that structure, then hopefully the thing that you desire will flow to you. We think we got to fight people to get respect. We think we got to fight people to get honored. We think we have to fight to get attention and love, not if you structure your life in a particular way. And if you go back to, what was it, 2023, where we talked about all about love in this space, and learning what the true definition of love is and how to set loving boundaries. And oh my goodness, love flows so freely in my life because of what I've learned from All About Love by Bell Hooks, and through other spaces. And I recognize I don't have to fight for the things that I desire in my life. I have to create the energetic patterns. Sometimes that happens with structure, with, and I'm going to keep saying that word, with behaviors and habits, so that things flow freely and I don't feel like I'm out here fighting for anything. Hello, my love. How are you? Trust the flow. Yeah, we are really out here working harder than we need to, when sometimes it's just those tweaks, those different ways of being, those different ways of seeing things. Hello, my actual love, my first love, my baby love. When we create, and we're always creating, and some people will say that's manifesting. You can call it whatever you want. We are always creating energetic patterns with our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. When you become more mindful that that is occurring at all times, then you can take the position of, how do I intend my life to look? How do I intend to be? How do I intend to show up? Do I want to show up as a balanced, peaceful, harmonious being? If I do, then I have to create the internal structures that will allow that to happen. And so we're going to talk about that. Last week we talked about some exercises that we can all engage in, and these are not difficult. No one is asking you to climb a mountain and sit with a guru. It literally can be those tweaks that you make in your life. Doesn't mean that the change is going to happen immediate, but you have to start somewhere. Yes, we all have to start somewhere. And you may already have a lot of structure in your life. But here's the thing: if your structure starts to look like torture, because I recognize that some of us have been taught that in order to create more discipline in our lives, it's got to hurt. I got to sweat. I got to cry. I got to bleed. It's got to be difficult. It does not. It does not. The things that are good for you do not have to be difficult, challenging, and hard for you to do. They really can be something that you create from, hopefully, from a place of love, so you recognize this is a good thing for me. Me putting this phone down is a good thing for me. I know most phones nowadays come with a mechanism that you can create and say, don't allow me to open these apps from this time to this time or for the next 30 minutes. That's not harsh. That's you creating a healthy boundary for yourself and recognizing that you need some support to do that. So if you find yourself on your phone endless hours, perhaps the small thing that you do is, let me structure this phone so I'm only on it or on particular apps for a couple of times in the morning and maybe a couple of times in the evening. I'm going to leave the middle of my day for myself so that I can create, so that I can give my attention and focus to other things. That's not a difficult request. That's not a difficult boundary. You may find it to be difficult in the beginning, as I have with stopping eating particular foods. I'm like, I could go for a slice of cake right now, but I recognize that's not the best thing for me. It's not a punishment. It's me doing what's best for me so that I can create more good in my life, so that I can prolong my life, so that I can have a more enjoyable human experience. And so if we stop looking at it as a punishment and start looking at it, I am creating more opportunities for me to love myself and for other people to love me. Ooh, that makes me feel good. That I know that I'm doing things that are not just for the greater good of my own life, but the collective consciousness. Think of it in that way as well, because when each of us takes the time to be more responsible about our well-being, it's good for all of us. I know there are many of us who could probably, and I'm not recommending you do this, who could probably tap some people on the shoulder and say, you need to focus on your well-being a little more. You out here doing a lot. You're saying things you shouldn't be saying. You're doing things. You might want to focus more on balancing yourself. And that person might be you. I don't know. But think about it. If we all took more time to really think about how our own personal well being not only helps us, but helps the collective consciousness, maybe we won't feel like the world is spiraling out of control. Okay. So, what are some of the things that you can do? I'm not just saying this is because it's my channel. I'm not just saying this because it's some self promotion, but I would offer that you go back to some of the videos that started off this year. And so, y'all remember my chalkboard? So this is what we did back in January, February, and March. The key word was clarity. And if you've already been doing this, you've already created this, you continue to journal around this, great. Doesn't mean that you can't go back and start again. Doesn't mean that you stop just because we're no longer in January, February, or March. Hopefully, this is part of the foundation of your journaling exercise, that you are looking for clarity. And remember, we were looking for clarity in all of the areas of who we are: physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. This is where you're asking yourself, what am I doing in my physical arena? Where am I spending the most time? Who am I spending time with? This is where we're looking at, where is my power going? We need to be clear about where our power is going. Am I spending a whole lot of mental energy thinking about my job and not thinking about myself? Am I spending a whole lot of emotional energy on particular people and around a particular situation? Perhaps there's something going on for you physically that has a lot of your attention physically, but also mentally and also emotionally. Where is the majority of your power going? physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? Or do you not even feel powerful in those areas? Those are the kind of questions and clarity that we were looking for January, February, March. And remember, we spent 2 weeks on each of those arenas. The physical arena we did for 2 weeks, mental arena we did for 2 weeks, spirit, and so on and so forth. Because if you really want to know where your power is going, you have to do that kind of examination. And so for me, I had to look at where am I spending a lot of my physical energy. And a lot of it was trying to restore myself. Like I go to work, come home, go to sleep, rinse, wash, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. It seemed like the cycle of working, 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 sleeping, 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 working, 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 sleeping, sleeping, sleeping. And I'm like, why is it taking me so much time to restore myself on Saturday and Sunday? And why am I in this pattern where I am not giving myself the time that I deserve? Primarily because I wasn't taking care of myself, my health very well. So, got to go to the doctor, find out what's going on. And that's where we're at right now, discovering what's going on and doing something about it. So that's the level of examination. So you might need to go back and look at that. If not, if you've already done that, great. We got to the end of March. Well, I got to the end of March and I started feeling really, really good about knowing where I am, where my power was going. I recognize emotionally I'm crying about stuff that doesn't hasn't even happened. It's like, how am I going to feel when this happens? Or how would I feel if, like, creating scenarios in my own head about things that haven't even happened and may never happen was taking up a lot of my emotional energy. And so we had to stop with the story creations in the brain and for me, recognizing that I would love my emotions to be in the here and now. If something is going on presently, let me be emotionally present to what is going on instead of worrying about what hasn't happened. Because we are emotional beings, and that part of us is not something that we want to cut off. If we can stay in the present moment instead of being emotional over the past or emotional over the future, if we can stay right where we're at and give ourselves the benefit of feeling what is going on in present time, how do you feel now? How is that going to make you feel if you continue to give all of your emotions over to this particular thing? Those are the kind of questions that you can put in your journal so that you gain more clarity around where your power is going emotionally. And so for me, a more powerful experience for me emotionally is recognizing and acknowledging all of the love that is present around me, whether it's me or other people. That's why Friday with the dads at the center was such a joy for me because I'm like, look what is happening right now. We don't know what's going to happen with the relationship with the daddies and the babies, 10 years from now. And I don't care about what happened before they were born or 4 years. Here and now, that dad is present with his baby, taking a picture. Let's stay right here and capture what that feels like, because then we're more likely to want to, replicate that experience. If I'm with someone, if I'm with my family, but I'm on my phone and I'm not emotionally connected to what is going on in that moment, I'm going to miss something. So for those of us who are joining with our families and we're spending our time on our phone, you're going to miss something because that time might be gone when you could have said something, when that you've always wanted to say, when you could have acknowledged something that you always wanted to acknowledge. So that is how you start to gain clarity on where you are right now, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, by asking yourself those questions and journaling in terms of, okay, what am I doing? What am I creating? What am I manifesting? If that's the word that you want to use. But know that at all times, we are creating energetic patterns that either support us or separate us. Okay, so that's what we did January, February, March, a little bit into April. We have to acknowledge that. And then, hold on, let me take this away. Let me take that away. Remove. And so then we got into, I think we extended that. We did. We extended that. And then I was like, I got to take a break because all of this fact finding will absolutely allow other things to rise to the surface that you may not have been aware of. So if any one of you are feeling overwhelmed physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, it could be because you're digging stuff up that may have been lying dormant. But now is as good as time as any for it to come to the surface to get what it needs. And so if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling extra tired, if you're like, why am I so moody? Because stuff is rising to the surface like cream because it wants to be acknowledged. It wants you to be aware that it's been there and running the show. Imagine things that you are unaware of running the show. Well, that's what happens in our unconscious state of being. Things are just like a puppet master, just running the show, and we are unaware of it. So we want to be aware of what's going on for us, right? And so this is the hope and the desire moving forward. So right now, I don't want y'all to look at July just yet. Right now, if you remember, it said April, May, and June, it's going to be all about action. Scratch that. Last week, we talked about the big ask and the belief that needs to be created around requests. Some time ago, we talked about this particular space being one of the vehicles in which we could request things and ask for things to happen, ask for support. Many of us have um, businesses that we really need support in, and we may not feel comfortable asking for support because for those of you who are in the midst of entrepreneurship, it can feel like, well, I started this business. So I am responsible for its growth. I'm responsible for every single aspect of it, not recognizing that no successful business was ever successful simply because one person was doing everything all by themselves. We need support, we need connection. It can be difficult because for many of us, our businesses feel like our children, our babies, and we don't always want anyone else's hands on our babies because we have a vision for our business. And sometimes when you do collaborate with other people, your vision may get lost, or someone else comes along and tells you what it should look like, should be. There is a way to collaborate in harmony where you don't lose your vision, you don't lose your goals, and neither does the other party. And so we talked about that. And that can be part of your big ask, your big request. It's like, I need support, but I also need to also retain my autonomy in how this business or my vision is going. So for the month of June, so for the next 2 weeks, maybe three, could go into July. We can do what we want. We're not thinking about action so much as formulating the request. So if you've done all of that investigation about where your power is going, what do you do with it? Do you turn it into a request? Do you turn it into belief of your own power? That's going to take some truth telling, some trust, some commitment, some integrity, and some courage. And when I think of integrity, I always have the image of a building or a structure. If those of you can remember, during the pandemic, there was a horrific building collapse in Florida. And what they subsequently found out is the building was never built with the integrity that was necessary for that particular area. And the design of the building, I think there was a pool above the parking deck. Like there were just a lot of things going on that should have never gone on for anyone to think that that structure was going to maintain its integrity. And so is the truth with your request and with your belief in yourself. If you are rebuilding, if you are rebuilding belief in yourself, belief in your ideas, belief in your business, belief in a relationship, you have to be honest about the integrity in which that was built. I'm going to say something because it's what popped into my head, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but let's look at a relationship. If you know that you and your significant other got together under questionable circumstances, then the foundation of that relationship may not have the structural integrity that is required for it to be sustained. What I mean by that is, let's say both of y'all had other partners before you got together and you didn't inform the other partners that you were seeking something new. And so your relationship was created under secrecy, lies, let's tell the truth, lies, and some whole other things that may not have been pleasant at the time. But here you are in this relationship with someone, the other ones have ended. It doesn't mean that the integrity of that relationship is going to be strong just because your feelings are strong at the moment. You might have to do a lot of checking in, a lot of clearing, a lot of, supporting of that particular relationship because from the very beginning, there were some issues in the integrity of the structure. I'm just using that as an example. And I have witnessed individuals that get together and then they're questioning the relationship because, well, y'all got together under, shaky circumstances. And so now you don't know if you can trust this person because trust was not a part of the deal when y'all first got together because you were not truthful. Think about that in terms of what you believe about yourself. Because if there is a shred of you that does not believe in you, how are you expecting to support this big ask, this big request that you have, this big dream, this big vision? If there are parts of you that do not believe that you are the one that can carry it through, that might be the point where your structure starts to fail or becomes compromised because all along you didn't believe enough in yourself. And so now that we have all of that information about where our power is going, we want to use that information to shore ourselves up, to make sure that we are empowering ourselves and one another to the point where there is no compromising. That something can't just come along and knock the whole thing down. If you had this experience, and I know I did when I was a kid, where you were doing something and you were so proud of it, and maybe a parent or an older sibling came along and said, "What are you doing? That looks stupid." And now your whole being just feels defeated. You were feeling so good about it. And one person came along and said one thing, and now you're ready to throw the whole thing away. Or maybe you're dressed up and you feel like you're looking good, and someone's like, "You gonna wear that?" And now you feel like, oh gosh, I can't even leave the house. I don't even want to go anymore. That is why, and this is a constant exercise, building up belief in yourself. It's not something that you do one time and you got it and now you're good. It is creating exercises, habits that continuously feed into that part of yourself that needs to be held up, supported, and confident. And so that does take courage, that does take trust, that does take truth. So for the remainder of this month, maybe a little bit into July, we are going to focus on what is our request? What is it that I desire? And so next week, I have an exercise that I'm going to give everyone that will support you in getting very, very clear about what your request is so that no one can come along and say, "Is that what you want? Is that really what you want?" And now you start questioning yourself. Okay. Hey, my love. Erica is with us. Giselle is with us. Hey, y'all. I'm so glad that you are here. And so that's for the month of June. Now let's go back. Go back. Just go back. July, August, September is where we're going to have some action. So remember last week when I said there were going to be challenges and how I don't like challenges and how we still are going to do challenges. There will be some big ask challenges where we are going to utilize our power to put things into action. And we're going to need support. I put that first so that those of us who have issues with asking for help can't run and hide and forget that it's part of the assignment. We're going to need support, which will also require accountability, connection, and resources. All of these things are dependent upon us being a lot more open to asking not just the universe, but the people, places, and experiences that the universe puts in front of us to support us. I am telling you what I know to be true, that there are things in your life right now that would support you, but you may not be utilizing them. You may not be aware of them, which is very, very possible when it comes to resources. A lot of times there are resources that are available to people that they don't know are available. So if you're not accessing them, you can't benefit from them. Connection. Again, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're severely independent, you may not realize that who you are connected to absolutely influences your behavior and your ability to put things into action. If you are around a bunch of negative Nancy's who are like, why are you doing that? I don't think you should do that. It can make it so much more difficult for you to take action on your own vision, your own dreams. So, who you are connected to matters. It doesn't mean that those people are not nice, doesn't mean that they're not loving. They may not be the connection that is necessary for you to believe in yourself fully so that you put things into action. If you've ever experienced, someone being next to you and yawning, and then the next thing you know, you're yawning, that it's similar to that. Whoever you're connected to, whoever you're around can greatly influence your ability to see things through and to complete things. I love being inspired by people who, under difficult, challenging odds, are able to start something and finish. I'm always in awe and amazed. Like, you have 5 kids and somehow you managed to complete a degree. How? How? Let me learn your ways. I am inspired by and would love to surround myself with individuals. And just like our good sis Celeste said, trying to get off that structure struggle bus, it is a bus. And everybody on that bus doesn't have any structure. So, yeah, we need to get off that bus and get on something where the people that are in that environment are all about completing things, supporting one another, being free with resources. We hear a lot about people gatekeeping. Why? If you know people are doing it, then you have to ask yourself, why do I even know these people exist? Why am I in that circle? And so many of us are in circles like that already. And if you are, please appreciate it. Please celebrate it. Please recognize and acknowledge it for what it is. I believe that this has the capacity to be that type of space. And I'm hoping in the next couple of months, it gets even bigger and bigger, where we are connected, collaborating, and accountable for one another. It's like, sis, you said you was going to do this in 30 days. Did you do it? Did you not have the supports that you needed? Have you identified what those supports are? If you haven't, how can I support you? And if you know you can't support someone, be honest and say, I don't have the answer, but I can pray for you. I can make you laugh. This is what I can offer. I have had experience where people are like, I can help you do XYZ. And then XYZ never happens. And then I start to question myself, I start to question them, and then it makes me not want to collaborate with people. I have been in those situations before where it seemed like a great idea, only to get into it. It's like, oh, you want me to do all the work? That's not collaboration. We are not here to use people. We are not here to take people's gifts and talents and use them and not compensate people for their time, their experience, and what, people have said over and over again. What you think, has taken me 10 minutes to do may have taken me 10 years to learn. I have individuals in my life who, will be like, "Can you help me with this?" And they're like, "Oh, you make it seem so easy." You don't know what I had to go through to gain this knowledge and experience. It seems like, I fixed it in 10 minutes. In actuality, this is 20 years of life experience that I've had to go through to get me to the point where I can now do it in 10 minutes. So let's make sure that as we are taking action, as we are supporting each other through connection and resources, that we acknowledge this must have been difficult for you to obtain and retain. And I'm going to honor that. I'm not going to waste your time, and I'm not going to misuse your gift, because I don't want anyone to do that with me. Amen. Okay, so that's what we can look forward to: July, August, September. Then by that time, we almost out of here. We're almost out of 2024. So we are fully in our power with confidence, with authority. I hope that you guys have seen the clip of Viola Davis talking about Shonda Rhimes. Started a speech with, "Thank you for this award because I deserve it." Having that inner authority where you tell yourself, "I deserve this. I work for this. I've earned this. And I'm not going to shy away from saying it's mine. I work for this. This is mine." And I know as women, and I'm not assuming that everyone in this room, in this space, is identified as female. I am saying traditionally, women have been told to shrink, to not be too proud, to be very humble. And I would like for us to stand in our authority. Regulation comes with power, because if it's left unregulated, power can run amok. We start thinking that, we have the right to tell people what to do, the right to say what we want to say. We got to stay regulated and balanced, and mastery, where you get to a place where you don't even know how you're doing what it is that you're doing. It's just doing it because that's who you are. And so by the end of this year, and maybe even quicker for some of us, maybe even right here today, we can stand in our power and say, "I am clear about who I am. I'm clear about where I'm spending my time, spending my energy. I'm clear about the energetic patterns that I'm creating through my thoughts, my feelings, and my behaviors. And I'm accountable for it all. And I'm using it for my highest good. I'm not out here just letting life drag me to and fro. I am an active participant in this life." And so we're going to talk about how we step forward. When I asked last week for you guys to email me, so many of you did, that I got overwhelmed. And not overwhelmed where I didn't feel like I could handle it, overwhelmed like, wow, I'm in the midst of some powerful people who are stepping up and saying, "I got a big ass and I'm not afraid to ask for what it is that I want and that I need." And I'm so appreciative of everyone who stepped up and did that. So if you look in the description of today's YouTube live, there is a link to my calendar. On Wednesday, June 19th, with this Juneteenth, I have some time set up. You can go to my calendar, schedule some time for us to talk about bartering, coaching, working together, whatever it is you would like to do. Because you had the authority and power to say, "This is what I want," I am offering time in that space on Wednesday. So if you go into the description of this video, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay, there's some time there. If it's still not enough time, I'll do it again next week. But for Wednesday of this week, June 19th, there is time. So there are a couple of you that I've been emailing with. Please go to that link, schedule your time, get on my book so that we can devote some time to figuring out how we're going to support one another. Thank you so much for being so gracious and so powerful with your big ass. Let me share something else. Remember last week when I said somebody put that on a t-shirt? Somebody put it on a t-shirt. Let me show you what one of our fantastic participants did. Now, how do I? Okay. That link is also in the description. Look at this. Look at this, y'all. Look what she did. Look what she did. She went ahead, created the shirt, put it on her website, and we collaborated a bit, not much, on the design. And look at that. I am so in love with people who jump first and ask questions second. And that is exactly what you did. Um, Let me see if I can scroll up. Yeah, so that you all can find Naturally Allie D went ahead and did a shirt. So please go patronize her. Patronize. The link to purchase is in the description of this YouTube video. And she even put in some specials for us. Let's see. There are some codes, which I believe begin later this week in terms of some percentages off your purchase. And it's not a t shirt, it is not just a t shirt, it's a hoodie, it's an apron, it's a tote bag, like it's so many different offerings. It's a water bottle. Oh, I think I need the water bottle or a sticker. That is what I'm talking about. When you're so in that frame of mind of I'm going to step, and she even said, I can't believe I did it. When I got that email, I was so proud of both of us. I was proud that I asked, and I was proud that you responded, and that's what connection looks like. That is how we utilize our power for good. I unapologetically have a big ask. I have several of them, and I can't wait to get my merchandise and wear it proudly, because it also gives other people permission to say, well, what do I have a big request too. There's something that I want to ask for, and I'm not going to be afraid to do it. All right? Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful? Again, the link to her store is in the description of this video. The link to get on my calendar is in the description in this video. As I said last week, YouTube is where my focus is. I'm not, I am still on Instagram, but I might even be coming off of that. I really want to focus my time and attention in one place. And speaking of focusing time and attention in one place, let's meditate. Because isn't it called Mama Meditations? Does anyone have something to offer to add to this week's meditation? If you purchase an item, please take a picture of yourself wearing it and send it to me. Let me give y'all my email address first. Send it to me so that I can see it. I love it. And recognize that that is also setting an attention. That's creating an energetic pattern. There are so many ways in which we do that. We create energetic patterns. That is one way to do that. Because if you're wearing that shirt and someone asks you about it, you now have to be in the energy of responding and explaining what it means. And I hope that you have a clear answer. I hope that you believe in yourself enough that you believe in yourself enough to answer with authority. Oh, I have a big request because I'm ready to create some big things in my life. I'm ready for my life to be structured in such a way that what I desire flows to me, has no choice but to come home to where it belongs because I have created the conditions for that to occur. That sounds like a meditation, intention, and affirmation all in one. My big ask is part of me structuring my life in such a way that I ask for what I know that I desire and I deserve. Are you prepared to do that? To structure your life in such a way that you are ready to ask for all of the things that you desire and deserve? Or are we still out here with our, biting our fingers like, I don't know, me, I don't know. And that's okay if you do. That is okay. We are still tethered to the human experience where self-esteem lives, where embarrassment lives, where values live. That's all in the human experience. All of it. Hello, Maya. I have a Maya. Maya. Yes, ma'am. I will place your situation in the meditation. And so, one more time, if you would like to get some separate time with me, there is a link in the description in this video for my calendar for this week. If all of the spots get taken up, I'll add some more next week because I want us to really have conversations about how we can work together. I know that there is someone in this space that can support me in my vision, and I know that I can support someone in their vision. And oh my goodness, talk about the courage and the confidence to be able to say that. For those of us who are entrepreneurs, if you have started a business that provides a service, you better believe that that needs to be in your mission statement and in your vision statement, that you know you have something to offer other individuals that will support their vision in their life. You have to know that, because if you don't know that, if you don't embody that, then what did you start the business for? Just to say you started a business? If you are not 100% confident that your stuff is the right stuff and that there is an audience for that stuff, for that thing, for that service, if you don't believe that the Most High is operating through you as a vehicle to provide some blessings, if you don't believe that, then you might as well get out the game right now, because it's going to be challenging, because there are people who aren't offering diddly, but out here every day making a killing, trying to convince people that they are an influencer. Out here, I'm an influencer. Well, what are you getting people to do? How are you supporting people's lives? I'm an influencer. That's all they can tell you. I'm an influencer, and I tell people what to buy, how to spend their money on things that they don't really need. There's a lot of people doing that and doing quite well at it. We're all out here. I saw this on TikTok, so I had to buy it. Do you need it? No. No. Is it going to wind up in a landfill? Absolutely. Are you going to get tired of it in the next 3 months? Probably. But did you buy it? Yep. And I do it again. And then there are individuals who are really, really wanting to enhance, inspire, and expand the collective consciousness. And I know that they are watching right now. I know that it's you. It is you. Do you believe that it's you? If you don't believe that it's you, get out the game. Get out the game, or stay in the game. Come here every Sunday at 1:30 and let's talk about why that thing is living within you to begin with. I believe it. You have to believe it for yourself. And one of the ways in which we do that is structuring our life. So I said I had some exercises. So this is what I want everyone to do. Give yourself a minimum of 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night before we go to bed. Whatever your day and night looks like, because it's going to be different for everyone. Just a minimum of 20 minutes. If you have to put it on your phone, if you have to wake up earlier, because I know I am one of those people that I know how long it takes for me to get ready. And I'll be in the bed and I'm like, well, it only takes me 15 minutes to do this, that, and the other. So I'm going to sleep an extra 15 minutes so that I'm not, and then I'll get up and I'll leave. Instead of, I deserve 20 minutes in the morning to set an intention, to set affirmations, to plan out the way I want my mind, my body, and my spirit to be in this day. I deserve that. So if I have to wake up 20 minutes earlier so that I'm not rushing through my morning, if I have to stop doing stuff 20 minutes earlier so that I'm able to end my day with myself, then I'm willing to do that because that creates the structure that is required for the human experience. And what are you going to do in that 20 minutes? I want you to just be with yourself. Breathe. If you need to, because I know we're not getting regular massages, find some lotion, some cream, or some oil that smells good to you. Maybe it's got some lavender in it if you're not allergic to it, and rub it in your hands. Now, if you're doing this before your shower, don't worry about it. Listen, we are a touch deprived society, and we don't take the time that we necessarily need to restore ourselves physically through touch. So maybe 20 minutes in the morning, that's what you're doing with your arms, your legs, anywhere that you can reach. You're waking your body up, not just the quickie shower that you're taking in the morning. I mean really connecting to yourself physically. Some people do that through yoga, some people do that through movement. I'm not even going to say the word that starts with the E that typically happens at the gym. That word is painful to me. So movement, you're going to do some kind of movement, stretching, all within this 20 minutes. You break it however you feel you need to. But you're also going to be setting intentions. Hopefully, you have a notebook, your journal nearby, where you say, this is how I want this day to go. I am intending that I am the embodiment of peace and tranquility. Say it before other people try to tell you how your day is going to go. You have to, every single day, spend some time with yourself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. You have to. Do I have to? You have to. You must, in an intentional way. So you're not just waking up and jumping into what's coming up next for you, so that you are the priority in your life. Do it 20 minutes in before you start your day and 20 minutes before you end your day. And for those of us who are laying in bed with our phones scrolling, please try to diminish that. Put the phone down. Turn the TV off. Turn it off. Spend time with yourself so that your dreams and your sleep can be peaceful and uninterrupted. Do you recognize that when you are engaging your brain in particular things and then you're trying to go to sleep, it's challenging to do? Shut yourself down like you shut your computer down at work. You don't just turn it off. You got to make sure you save everything, close all the tabs. Do that for yourself. Create a ritual for yourself in the morning, in the evening. That's just one exercise I'm asking you to do for the rest of this week. And we will continue to build and build and build and build and build, but that's not difficult. It might be challenging if you go to your phone. That's the first thing you do when you wake up, and it's the first thing you do, the last thing you do before you go to sleep. But what I'm asking is to change those things, structure your life in such a way that what you desire has no choice but to flow freely. You say you want a restful sleep, structure your life so that peaceful sleep flows to you. I don't understand how people say, I just want to sleep at night, and you got the TV on, the phone on. It's a whole lot of hip hop bebop going on in the bedroom, but you want to sleep peacefully. How's that supposed to happen? Okay, let's meditate. Like I said, if you need to, you can go back to the previous videos to look at how we got to this place. If you need to, click on the link to schedule some time with me this Wednesday so we can have a conversation about working together. If you need to, put the time on your phone in the morning, in the evening, or whatever your AM, PM looks like, so that you are spending at the minimum 20 minutes a day. And for those of you who are already doing that and so much more, maybe it's time to add 20 minutes to what you're already doing. Let's start to breathe as we come into this meditation. And we are going to add a request from my baby girl. And I'm going to ask that the universe supply me with the words, the behavior, and the emotions that are necessary for me to freely express and connect with all of those who are present in this moment. Let us breathe, recognizing that with every inhale and every exhale, we are providing the universe with the filtration system that is necessary for all of us in this collective consciousness. You at work, you may not even realize it. You in here breathing in toxic energy, filtering it, changing it, transmuting it, and filtering it back out into the ether. You magnificent being, you. Thank you for doing that work for me. And you are welcome because I am certainly doing that work for you. That what I want for myself, I want for others. What I want and desire for myself, I want and desire for others because I recognize that we are all connected. All of us who are tethered to this spinning, rotating collection of gas and matter that we call Mother Earth, all of us who find ourselves connected to individuals who we may never meet in the physical. Let us also be reminded that we are responsible for one another so that whatever energy leaves the tip of my tongue and is placed into the ether becomes part of the collective consciousness. So let me be mindful of what I am creating in my mind. Let me be mindful of what I am creating in my mouth and giving birth to. Recognizing that even if it is not my intention, that sometimes my words pierce the heart of others. And if my words are entering the heart of others, please let it be loving. If I am misguided in my approach, please show me that so that I recognize that my words have power, that my actions have power. And yes, even my emotions, although I think that is just an experience that I am having, my emotions have power over other people. We have great influence whether we are aware of it or not. And in this time and in this space, there are many of us who are teetering on the edge and can go over into the abyss with a word, with a phrase, and sometimes even just a glance, because that is how powerful we are. So let us be mindful of the things that we say to ourselves and the things that we say to each other. And if I cannot approach you with love, then please let me be silent. And if you cannot approach me with love, then please stay and do nothing at all. Because I desire experiences and interactions that are for my highest good. And I know that within this human experience, not all of those interactions will be. Some of them will be some of the most challenging words I have ever heard, and some of the most harmful actions I have ever experienced. I acknowledge that as being part of this human experience. And so I am asking the universe and all within the collective consciousness to support me in creating energetic patterns that create courage, that create belief, that create love, and all of the necessary principles for my highest good. I desire to be well in my mind, in my body, in my spirit. And I desire the interactions that will support me in creating that reality. And as I am formulating, cultivating my big ask, let me be mindful that the capacity to create it is already within me. And I am unlearning all of the things that are standing in the way. I have what I need. I am what is necessary. I am undoing what no longer serves me. And as our dear sweet Marissa said last week, coming out of survival mode can be a challenge when you're used to surviving, when you are unfamiliar with existing in a state of being of total wellness and balance, when you are not used to acknowledging and recognizing your own power, either because it was never demonstrated for you, or someone, for whatever reason, maybe they weren't connected to their own power but felt it necessary to rob you of yours, or the programming that we are all still unlearning, those structures that have been put in place for us not to recognize our own personal power. Let us be mindful that the vision, the dream, the desire that lives within us would not be there. We wouldn't even recognize it. We wouldn't even identify or connect with it if it wasn't ours to have. We don't just make this stuff up, it's ingrained within us. And it's our opportunity every single moment we have. It is our opportunity to let it live. I want my dreams to be so realistic and authentic to who I am that I don't have to tell you what it is. You can see it. That I don't have to explain any of it. It is a part of who I am. It is my natural state of being, without question. And you wouldn't even think of asking me why. Why you? Why now? Why that? it wouldn't even formulate in your mind because you can see it is who I am. But I recognize that's my responsibility to live from that place, to believe in myself, to make sure that it cannot be compromised by anyone else's words. And that is the internal work that I desire for myself and for others. Let me be mindful that not everyone is on a similar journey. And perhaps it will decrease my frustration when I come in contact with individuals who, because they are not loving themselves, they may be unable to love others. Because they are not aware of their own power, they refuse to see it in others. Let me be mindful and aware of when that is happening so that I don't take ownership of someone else's stuff, so that I'm not impacted in such a way that now I got to start from scratch, build myself up. I trust and I pray and I offer that we all recognize and realize how easy it is to be a spiritual being and how challenging it can be within the human experience. But there is a balance that can happen when we become more aware of both of those experiences. So at the end of the day, it's like I was really being human today. I was jealous. I was angry. I was confused. I didn't speak up for myself. Anxiety was running rampant. Maybe there was an experience of depression and sadness. All of those things part of the human experience. I was really human today. But before I close my eyes and drift off into that other existence, let me recognize that I am a spiritual being and there is something for me to learn in this human experience, which is why I encounter all of these different experiences to see what they are teaching me and what can I learn from them so that I am constantly replicating the same experience over and over and over, that I remind myself there is a higher frequency for me, that I can operate from a different consciousness where I see things differently, I hear things differently, I respond differently. And it's with me all the time. Sometimes we forget. But before I close my eyes, let me remind myself that even when I am asleep and my consciousness may not be aware, there is spiritual activity going on. And when I awaken in the morning, all things can and will be different if I choose for them to be. I can be different. The circumstance can be different. The opportunity for me to see it differently is always present. And that is how I'm choosing to use my power. I am hopeful that as we go through this week, we recognize and take a step back before we fall into the pit of despair, we say, wait a minute, there's another way for me to see this. I don't have to get engaged in somebody else's chaos. I don't have to join the party of pity or the party of petty because I'm doing something different in my life. My life is going to be different. And so the words and the actions of others that used to have me all torn up, face screwed up, they don't affect me like that anymore. The things that seem to have me on edge don't affect me in that way because I am now structuring my life in such a way that what I desire has no choice but to flow freely. And so whatever they're doing over there has absolutely nothing to do with me because I'm creating boundaries in my life. I'm making choices in a different way. My internal inner authority tells me I'm above particular things. Not that I'm above people, but I'm above feeling a particular way about particular situation. Like I'm not doing it. I'm choosing something different for my life because I've done that for way too long. And when other people feel, when it feels like other people want to take me along on their journey to self pity or despair, I am declining. No, thank you. That's not a trip that I desire to go on. I've been there, didn't like it, wouldn't recommend, and I don't want to go there with you. But if you are willing to go on another journey where we sit with our emotions and we look at things and not in a way to that makes anybody the villain, the victim, or anything else, but to say, okay, this thing happened. Now what can I do with that information? How can I position myself in such a way so that my perspective sees it with a higher consciousness? Doesn't mean it's going to be immediate, but if you keep making that a priority, I'm telling you, you will see things differently. When you see people doing stuff when you used to get all riled up, now you're like, that's interesting. And I see it for what it is. Like I'm at a point in my life where I can see trauma speaking based upon the language and the words that people are using. And I don't feel the need to respond and say, oh, you shouldn't feel that way. They may need to feel that way in that moment to get them to the other side, but I can just sit and remain neutral. I can see trauma speaking when people say things about themselves. And I'm like, whoa, is that the way you feel about yourself? Okay. There's always more to the story. I'm just coming in the middle of the book. I don't know what preceded the chapters that I've been reading. I don't know. We don't know everyone's story. Even when they happen to be someone that we're really, really close to, we don't know why people are the way they are at all times. We don't know what might be coming to the surface. We don't know we don't know what trauma is trying to be processed at that time. But what we do know is that we are all responsible for our stuff as adults. And if you are at a point where you are ready to explore some of the things that you experienced as a child, we did inner child healing last year. Those videos are up. And now you're at the point where you are reparenting yourself. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. But if you don't put things in place internally and externally, then stuff is like like the fire hydrant I mentioned earlier. That water's just flowing all over the place without someone directing it in a particular way and in a particular fashion. And so I trust that today offered some insight into why structure is important. Your humanness needs the structure. You being a spiritual being, flow freely, go out, let the nature speak to you. Let things speak to you in such a way where you are being guided. That's the spiritual part of us, which also comes with some structure. Save some time for your ancestors, those habits, those rituals which support your spirituality. Please do that. It's Sunday. Many of you went to church today. Many of you have your prayer time. Continue to do those things. Yes, those spiritual. I don't want to make it seem like spirituality has no structure. It does, depending upon how your spirituality is defined for you. But make sure you have a healthy balance between the discipline and the structure and the fluidity and the expansion and allowing things to happen as they are. Oh my goodness. I think we will be doing that until the end of our days. And as today is Father's Day, I hope that we also acknowledge that that parental energy doesn't just come from men. Some of us are out here being our own daddies. Some of us are trying to resolve those issues. Some of us are out here being our own mamas. And what do, great parents provide? Structure, they provide discipline, they provide, a lot of things. And so if you are reparenting yourself, happy Father's Day to you. Out here being your own daddy. Um, and I know that you will do well because you're mindful that that is what you're doing. When you say to yourself, I'm reparenting myself, you know that you're doing it with the intention not to replicate the experience you already had, because why would you do that? But to say, I want to do things differently. If you are reparenting yourself, your desire is to do things differently. That's all. So happy Father's Day. To all the new daddies out there. Is like, I didn't know that I was going to become a father at 50 now that I am, reparenting myself. But here we are. Get yourself something good today. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. Again, the link to schedule some time with me is in the description of this video. Jump on and do that. And for those of you who have scheduled, I'll see you Wednesday, which is Juneteenth. For those of you who don't have anything in mind for a Juneteenth celebration, create some liberation for yourself. Our good, sweet sister Marissa is great at that. Visit her channel. Hey, Marissa, if you're still here, say hey. Um, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who has purchased the T-shirt from Naturally Allie D. I'm so grateful for your willingness to take a jump, all because we were being silly and serious at the same time. Do not forget that you have a big ask within you. And we'll be talking about how do we formulate that? How do I get the courage to ask for the thing that I want? There are exercises that you can do. We'll talk about that next week. I love y'all. You are so welcome. Thank you for being in this space, providing what you have provided, because it makes this space what it is. And if it is a safe space for one, then let it be a safe space for all. That is my intention. If there's anything that you think, could be added, taken away, please let me know. I am always open to creative, constructive criticism. Always. I love y'all. Again, this is my email address. Email me. I'll get to y'all. When I get to y'all, I'm still creating the structures that make it possible for me to have more freedom as a spiritual life coach. That is who I am. That is who I be till I take my last breath. And I'm so grateful to be moving back into that realm. You are so welcome. I love you. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll be back here again next Sunday. I love y'all. I love you. Love you, love you, love you. Have a good one, y'all.